Good morning. I'm so glad you're here today. I believe it's not by accident that you're listening to this message. There's something inside of you that's ready to rise higher, to go further, and to step into something greater. We all face moments in life where it feels like the odds are stacked against us. Maybe you've been told you're not qualified, that the dream is too big or the mountain is too steep. But let me tell you, you were not created to live in defeat. You were designed to defy the odds. The obstacles you see, they're not there to stop you. They're there to strengthen you. Every closed door, every disappointment, every failure has been shaping you for something bigger. Your setback is not your story. It's your setup for a comeback. You may have heard the voices that say, you're not good enough. You'll never make it. But the voice that matters most is the one inside of you, the one that whispers, you were made for more. The truth is, you don't have to have it all figured out to move forward. You just have to believe that the odds don't control your destiny. You do. With resilience in your heart and faith in your steps, the impossible becomes possible. Think about it. So many people who changed the world were counted out before they were counted in. They didn't let statistics or opinions define them. They let their vision, their grit, and their faith lead the way. Today, you might be facing challenges that seem overwhelming. But remember this, you are stronger than you think, braver than you feel, and more equipped than you realize. So shake off the doubt, silence the fear, and walk forward knowing that you will defy the odds. This is your moment. This is your time. Now go out there and live like you believe it. There is something remarkable that happens when you begin to believe in the power of possibility. It's like a light switch flips on inside of you, illuminating paths that once seemed hidden, opportunities that once felt out of reach, and dreams that once felt impossible. Life is full of moments that test us, times when the odds seem so heavily stacked against us that giving up feels like the easiest choice. But here's the truth. What seems impossible to the world can be entirely possible when you tap into the depth of your inner strength. Every one of us has faced moments where we've heard the words, you can't do it, or that's just not possible. Maybe it came from a teacher who underestimated you, a friend who didn't see your potential, or even your own inner voice whispering doubts. Those words plant seeds of limitation if you let them. But the beauty of possibility is that it isn't determined by other people's opinions or by the barriers that seem to stand in your way. It's determined by the belief you hold within yourself. Think about some of the greatest achievements in human history. Every single one of them began as an idea, an invisible spark in someone's mind that others probably doubted or dismissed. Airplanes, space travel, medical breakthroughs, technological revolutions, all of them were once considered impossible. But someone, somewhere decided that the power of possibility was greater than the weight of impossibility. They chose to believe in what could be rather than settling for what was. Now, this isn't just about history or world-changing inventions. This is about your life, your dreams, your challenges, and your path forward. You might be facing a mountain right now that feels too tall to climb. Maybe it's a career you want to pursue, a relationship you want to heal, a business you want to build, or a personal battle you're trying to win. And maybe, just maybe, the voices around you or even inside you are telling you that it can't be done. But here's the thing, the power of possibility doesn't rely on visible evidence. It thrives in the unseen, in the moments when nothing looks like it's working, but something inside of you says, keep going. That's where strength is born. That's where resilience grows. It's easy to believe when everything's going right. When the doors are opening, the support is flowing in, and the success feels guaranteed. But the true measure of belief is what you do when the odds are against you. That's when you have to dig deep and remind yourself that even if no one else can see it yet, you can still believe it into existence. Possibility isn't about certainty, it's about potential. It's about seeing beyond the current moment and daring to imagine a different outcome. And here's where it gets powerful. When you choose to believe in possibility, you start to take steps you wouldn't have taken before. You start to see opportunities where others see dead ends. You take risks, you persevere longer, and you refuse to back down just because things got hard. The road to defying the odds is rarely smooth. In fact, it's often filled with moments of doubt, frustration, and fear. But here's the secret. Those emotions aren't stop signs. They're part of the journey. Feeling fear doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're stretching. It means you're stepping into unfamiliar territory, and that's where growth lives. That's where breakthroughs happen. We live in a world that often celebrates quick success. Social media highlights the wins, the achievements, the perfect moments, but it rarely shows the sleepless nights, the silent tears, the time someone almost quit but didn't. Defying the odds isn't always glamorous. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it's lonely. But it's always worth it. You might be wondering, but what if I fail? And that's a fair question. Failure is a real possibility. But here's what's more powerful. Failure isn't final. It's a part of the process. Every successful person you admire has failed, probably more times than you realize. But they didn't let failure define them. They used it as fuel. They learned from it, adapted, and came back stronger. When you embrace the power of possibility, you stop seeing failure as the end and start seeing it as a stepping stone. Every misstep teaches you something valuable. Every closed door redirects you to a better path. It's all part of the bigger picture, even when it doesn't make sense in the moment. One of the most beautiful things about possibility is that it's contagious. When you start believing in yourself, it gives others permission to believe in themselves too. Think about it. How many times have you been inspired by someone else's story? Someone who overcame incredible odds, who rose from nothing, who kept going when it would have been easier to quit. Those stories ignite something in us because they remind us of what's possible. And here's the truth. Your story can be that spark for someone else. Someone is watching you right now, maybe a friend, a family member, a coworker, someone who needs to see that it's possible to rise, to win, to overcome. And your choice to believe, to persevere, to keep pushing forward might just be the example they need. So how do you activate the power of possibility in your life? It starts with a decision. A decision to stop letting fear or doubt make your choices for you. A decision to see obstacles as opportunities, to view challenges as growth points, and to believe that you are capable of more than you've given yourself credit for. It also takes action. Possibility isn't passive. It doesn't just show up because you wish for it. It shows up when you work for it. When you show up day after day, even when you don't feel like it, when you invest in your growth, when you take risks, when you surround yourself with people who lift you higher instead of pulling you down, and finally it takes patience. Big dreams don't happen overnight. Defying the odds takes time. There will be moments when it feels like nothing is changing. When you're working hard but not seeing results, that's when most people quit, but not you. Because you understand that the power of possibility means trusting the process, even when you can't yet see the finish line. You are stronger than you know. You carry within you a reservoir of potential that hasn't even been tapped yet. The challenges you face today, they're not here to break you. They're here to reveal the strength inside you that you didn't even know you had. So don't settle for what seems safe or easy. Don't let fear or doubt shrink your dreams. Choose the path of possibility. Choose to believe that the odds, no matter how steep they look, are not bigger than your purpose. You have what it takes. You have the vision, the resilience, the courage. Now it's time to use it. Step forward with boldness, with determination, with the unshakable belief that you will defy the odds. Life has a way of throwing curveballs when we least expect it. One moment, everything seems to be falling into place, and the next, it feels like the ground has been pulled from under you. Maybe you faced a job loss, a broken relationship, a failed business, or a dream that didn't turn out the way you hoped. In these moments, it's easy to feel defeated, to think that the setback is the end of the story. But what if it's not? What if your setback is actually setting you up for a comeback that's bigger and better than anything you imagined? It's a powerful shift in perspective. Seeing the obstacle not as a roadblock, but as a stepping stone. Many of the greatest success stories didn't start with winning. They started with losing, failing, or falling short. The difference between those who rise and those who stay down isn't the absence of failure. It's the decision to turn the setback into fuel for a greater comeback. Think about the moments in your life where you've grown the most. Chances are it wasn't during the easy times, it was during the hard times. When you had to dig deep, when you had to push past the pain, when you had to figure out who you really are. Setbacks have a way of stripping away the superficial and revealing your true strength. They challenge your character, your resilience, and your faith, but they also hold the seeds of transformation. Consider a seed planted in the soil. Before it can bloom into something beautiful, it has to be buried in darkness. It has to push through layers of dirt and resistance. If you were to look at it during that process, you might think it's stuck, struggling, or even failing. But in reality, it's growing stronger, its roots are deepening, and it's preparing for something greater. That's what a setback does for you. It's not burying you, it's planting you. One of the most important things to remember in a setback is that the situation is temporary, but your response can create a lasting impact. Too often, people make permanent decisions based on temporary emotion. They quit on the dream, give up on the relationship, or walk away from the opportunity, all because of a rough patch. But growth happens when you learn to sit in the discomfort, to endure the process, and to trust that something better is on the other side. Setbacks also have a way of rerouting us towards something more aligned with our purpose. Sometimes what feels like a failure is actually life's way of protecting you from something that wasn't meant for you, or redirecting you towards something greater. You may not see it in the moment, but with time and perspective, you often realize that the closed door led you to the right one. Think of some of the most inspiring comeback stories. Athletes who suffered career-ending injuries only to return stronger. Entrepreneurs who lost everything and built it back even bigger. Individuals who hit rock bottom but used it as a foundation to rise. The common thread in these stories isn't just resilience. It's the refusal to let the setback be the final chapter. Instead, they used it as the turning point. There's something deeply powerful about reaching a low point. It humbles you. It strips away the noise and brings you face to face with who you are at your core. And in that raw, honest space, you have the chance to rebuild not just your circumstances, but yourself. Stronger, wiser, more focused. But here's the hard truth. Comebacks don't happen by accident. They require intentional action. It starts with shifting your mindset from why is this happening to me to what is this teaching me? Because every setback carries a lesson about patience, about resilience, about strategy, about self-worth. When you start to view challenges as classrooms instead of prisons, you unlock a deeper level of growth. Next, you have to make a decision not to quit. It sounds simple, but in the face of disappointment, choosing to keep going is one of the hardest and most courageous choices you can make. This is where grit is born. This is where champions are made, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows when no one is watching, and quitting would be the easier option. Surrounding yourself with the right people during a setback is also crucial. Voices of encouragement can help drown out the inner critic that thrives in moments of failure. Whether it's friends, mentors, or a community that lifts you up, the people you lean on during tough times can make all the difference. They remind you of your strength when you forget it yourself. It's also important to take time to reflect during a setback. Sometimes we're so focused on getting past the pain that we miss the wisdom it holds. Reflection helps you avoid repeating the same mistakes and allows you to approach your comeback with greater clarity and purpose. It turns the setback into a learning experience, not just a painful memory. And finally, take action. Small steps at first, then bigger ones as your confidence rebuilds. The road to a comeback isn't always glamorous. It's often filled with late nights, self-doubt, and moments where you wonder if it's even worth it. But every small step forward is proof that you're refusing to let the setback define you. There's a kind of beauty in the broken places of our lives. The cracks aren't signs of weakness. They're proof that you survived. They're reminders of the battles you fought and the strength you've gained. And when you do make your comeback, and you will, it will be all the sweeter because of what you went through to get there. So if you're in the middle of a setback right now, hold on to this truth. This isn't the end of your story. It's just a plot twist. And sometimes the most powerful chapters come after the biggest challenges. You have what it takes to rise again. The strength, the resilience, the determination, it's all there waiting for you to tap into it. Your setback may have knocked you down, but it hasn't knocked you out. And when you choose to stand back up, to learn, to grow, and to push forward, you step into the power of your comeback. Because the story isn't over yet. In fact, the best part is still ahead. In a world that moves at lightning speed, where deadlines loom large, expectations pile up, and comparison is only a click away, it's easy to feel the heavy weight of pressure to succeed, pressure to be perfect, pressure to meet everyone's expectations, sometimes at the expense of your own. It's a silent force that can push people to burn out, give up, or settle for less than they deserve. But here's the truth. When you live driven by pressure, you end up chasing approval. When you live driven by purpose, you end up chasing impact. And that's where real fulfillment lies. Pressure demands immediate results. It whispers you're running out of time or everyone's ahead of you. It thrives on urgency and often leads to rushed decisions, shortcuts, and surface-level wins. Purpose, on the other hand, is steady. It's not in a rush. It's rooted in something deeper than likes, recognition, or fleeting moments of success. Purpose pulls you forward with clarity, even when pressure tries to push you down. But here's where the tension lies. Pressure often shows up loud and unavoidable, while purpose speaks in a quieter voice. Pressure comes from the outside, expectations from family, society, work, or even the unrealistic standards we set for ourselves. Purpose, that comes from within, and tuning into it requires intentionality. You see, pressure says you have to. Purpose says you get to. Pressure is fueled by fear. Fear of failing, fear of not measuring up, fear of missing out. Purpose is fueled by passion and meaning. It focuses less on the outcome and more on the journey. It asks deeper questions like, why am I doing this? And who am I becoming through this process? Consider this. Two people could be working the same job, putting in the same hours, facing the same challenges, but their experience could be completely different. One might feel crushed under the weight of pressure, constantly stressed and overwhelmed. The other might feel energized, focused, and fulfilled. The difference? One is working for validation, the other is working from purpose. When you live with purpose, challenges don't break you, they shape you. Pressure makes failures feel final. Purpose makes failures feel like fuel for growth. Because when you're rooted in something bigger than the task at hand, you're less shaken by the temporary ups and downs. Think of some of the most impactful people in history: leaders, innovators, artists, change makers. They faced intense pressure, no doubt. But they didn't let that pressure dictate their path. They stayed anchored in their purpose, even when it meant taking risks, standing alone or going against the grain. Their focus wasn't on being the fastest, the richest, or the most popular. It was on fulfilling their calling, even when it took time. The truth is, living with purpose doesn't mean life gets easier. It means you get stronger. It means when pressure shows up, and it will, you have something deeper anchoring you. Purpose gives you resilience. It gives you vision. It reminds you why you started in the first place. So how do you shift from living under pressure to living with purpose? It starts with asking yourself honest questions. Why do you do what you do? Is it for approval, for status, or is it because it aligns with your deeper values and vision? Sometimes we get so caught up in the grind that we forget why we started climbing the mountain in the first place. Taking time to reflect can realign you with what actually matters. Next, redefine success. Pressure often ties success to external rewards. Money, titles, followers, trophies. Purpose defines success by impact, growth, and meaning. That doesn't mean you can't aim for big achievements, but it means you're not solely driven by them. Your worth isn't wrapped up in the when, it's anchored in the why. Another key, learn to say no. Pressure thrives when you try to do it all. Say yes to every request, meet every expectation, chase every opportunity. Purpose is selective. It knows that not every good opportunity is the right opportunity. Saying no to what doesn't align frees you up to say yes to what truly matters. And here's a big one. Give yourself permission to rest. Pressure says if you're not constantly moving, you're falling behind. Purpose understands that rest isn't a reward, it's a requirement. Some of your greatest clarity and creativity come in the pauses, in the moments where you step back, breathe, and reconnect with yourself. Comparison is another major source of pressure. It's easy to scroll through social media, see someone else's highlight reel, and feel like you're not doing enough or moving fast enough. But purpose reminds you that your journey isn't meant to look like anyone else's. It's unique, it's personal. And just because someone else's timeline looks different doesn't mean you're behind. Living with purpose also means embracing the process. Pressure makes you hyper-focused on the outcome. Purpose invites you to find meaning in the journey, the growth, the lessons, the relationships you build along the way. Those are just as valuable as the end goal. When you anchor yourself in purpose, you become less reactive and more intentional. You stop living life like it's a race you have to win and start living it like it's an adventure you get to experience. And ironically, that's often when real success starts to show up. Not forced, but flowing from a place of authenticity and alignment. Purpose also gives you the strength to endure pressure when it inevitably comes. It's not about eliminating pressure completely. It's about not letting it rule you. When you're rooted in your why, pressure becomes manageable. You can face deadlines, challenges, and expectations without losing yourself in the process. But perhaps one of the greatest gifts of living with purpose is that it ripples outward. People are drawn to those who live with intention and passion. Your commitment to purpose inspires others to find their own. It creates a ripple effect, impacting your family, your community, and even strangers you may never meet. So, if you're feeling weighed down right now, pressure feels louder than purpose, take a moment, breathe, reflect. Ask yourself, am I doing this because I feel I have to, or because it aligns with who I truly am? And if the answer points toward pressure, know this, it's never too late to recalibrate. You were not created to live a life dictated by pressure. You were designed to live a life driven by purpose. And when you make that shift, you'll find that the weight lifts, clarity returns, and you start moving forward, not with stress, but with strength. Purpose over pressure, every single time. Life has a way of testing us in ways we never expect. There are moments when the road gets rough, when the odds feel stacked against us, and when everything inside of us whispers, give up. It's in these defining moments that the difference between falling apart and rising above comes down to one thing, unshakable faith. Unshakable faith isn't about ignoring reality or pretending that challenges don't exist. It's not blind optimism or wishful thinking. It's deeper than that. It's a quiet, unwavering belief that even in the darkest valleys, there is a way forward. It's the confidence that no matter how tough life gets, there's something greater working on your behalf, and that you were built strong enough to overcome. But here's the thing about faith. It often shines the brightest in the darkest moments. It's easy to believe when everything's going your way. It's easy to feel strong when life is smooth, the bills are paid, the relationships are thriving, and your dreams are falling into place. But what happens when the job falls through? When the diagnosis comes back worse than expected? When the people you trusted walk away? That's when real faith kicks in, not the kind that crumbles under pressure, but the kind that holds steady even when the storm is raging. Unshakable faith is the anchor that keeps you grounded when life tries to sweep you off your feet. It's the steady hand that keeps you moving forward when everything inside you is screaming to turn back. And the truth is, it's in these moments of pressure that faith is refined. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Gold is purified by fire. And your faith, it grows stronger through the trials you face. Think about the most inspiring stories you've ever heard. People who overcame impossible odds, who turned tragedies into triumphs, who faced failures and still found a way forward. Behind every one of those stories is a person who refused to let fear have the final word. Instead, they leaned into faith. They believed in a future they couldn't yet see. They trusted that there was more to their story than the current chapter. But having unshakable faith doesn't mean you never feel fear or doubt. It means you don't let fear and doubt control you. It means you acknowledge the challenges, but choose to believe in the possibility of something greater. It's the kind of mindset that says, this may be where I am right now, but it's not where I'm staying. Faith also has a powerful way of changing how you see obstacles. Where pressure sees roadblocks, faith sees detours leading to something better. Where fear sees failure, faith sees lessons. Where doubt sees dead ends, faith sees new beginnings. It shifts your entire perspective. Suddenly, the mountain in front of you isn't an impossible climb, it's an opportunity to grow stronger. One of the most important truths about unshakable faith is that it doesn't require the whole plan to be clear. You don't have to see every step of the journey. You just have to trust that there's a path forward, even if it's hidden right now. It's like driving through fog. You may only see a few feet ahead, but as long as you keep moving, the road unfolds before you. Faith works the same way. It's the willingness to keep going even when clarity hasn't yet come. And here's where many people get stuck. They want certainty before they take action. They want guarantees before they take risks. But faith doesn't work that way. It's about stepping out even when the outcome isn't promised. It's about choosing courage over comfort. Because here's the truth. Every great breakthrough, every life-changing opportunity, every big dream realized, it all started with someone taking a step of faith. But how do you cultivate unshakable faith, especially when life keeps throwing challenges your way? It starts with what you focus on. Fear and faith both require you to believe in something you can't see. Fear believes in the worst-case scenario. Faith believes in the best. The more you focus on your fears, the bigger they grow. But the more you focus on your faith, on the possibilities, the growth, the strength inside of you, the stronger it becomes. Gratitude is another powerful tool for strengthening faith. It might sound simple, but when you start focusing on what's going right instead of everything that's going wrong, it shifts your entire mindset. Even in the darkest moments, there's always something to be grateful for. A lesson learned, a person who showed up, the strength you didn't know you had. Gratitude reminds you that life isn't just happening to you, it's happening for you. Surrounding yourself with the right voices also plays a huge role. When you're going through tough times, it's easy to feel isolated. But unshakable faith often grows in community. People who encourage you, remind you of your strength, and speak life into your situation. They help you hold on to hope when it feels like it's slipping away. Whether it's friends, mentors, or a faith community, those voices matter. And sometimes unshakable faith is simply about endurance. It's about waking up every day and choosing to keep going even when the breakthrough hasn't come yet. It's about trusting that every small step forward matters, even if it doesn't look like much right now. It's the understanding that progress isn't always visible, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. Think of a seed planted underground. For weeks, sometimes months, there's no visible sign of growth. But beneath the surface, roots are forming. Strength is building, and when the timing is right, that seed will break through the soil. That's how faith works. It's trusting the process, even when the results aren't immediate. And perhaps the most powerful thing about unshakable faith, it creates resilience. Life will knock you down. That's not a maybe, it's a guarantee. But faith is what gives you the strength to get back up. It's what keeps you moving forward when logic says you should quit. It's what helps you defy the odds. So if you're in a tough season right now, if you're facing setbacks, disappointments, or doors that keep closing, lean into faith. Trust that this isn't the end of your story. Believe that what's ahead is greater than what's behind. And remember, the strength you're building right now in this storm, it's the same strength that's going to carry you to your comeback. Unshakable faith doesn't promise the road will be easy, but it does promise that you won't walk it alone. It promises that there's purpose in the pain, growth in the struggle, and victory on the other side of the battle. So hold on, keep believing, keep pushing forward, because faith, it's the key that unlocks the impossible. Life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. You make plans, set goals, and take steps forward only to find yourself blindsided by setbacks, unexpected obstacles, failures, disappointments, or moments when it feels like everything is falling apart. In those moments, it's easy to ask, why me? Or think, this is the end of the road. But here's a mindset shift that can change everything. What if your setback isn't the end, but actually the setup for something greater? That shift in perspective is powerful, because setbacks, when seen through the right lens, are not permanent stop signs. They're detours leading to better destinations. They're opportunities disguised as obstacles. The truth is, most people give up when they hit a wall, but those who choose to dig deeper, to see beyond the immediate struggle, often discover that their greatest breakthroughs come right after their biggest setbacks. Let's be real, setbacks hurt. Whether it's losing a job, failing an exam, facing rejection, ending a relationship, or watching a dream slip through your fingers, it can feel like a punch to the gut. It's natural to feel frustrated, disappointed, or even hopeless in those moments. But it's also in those very moments that you have a choice. You can let the setback define you, or you can let it refine you. Think about some of the most successful people in history. Entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, inventors. Almost every one of them has a story of failure or rejection before their breakthrough moment. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper job because he lacked creativity. Oprah Winfrey was told she was unfit for television. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. These stories aren't outliers. They're proof that setbacks are often stepping stones, not stumbling blocks. So, what separates the people who bounce back from setbacks from those who stay stuck? It's their perspective. They don't see failure as final. They see it as feedback. They don't let disappointment crush them. They let it teach them. They understand that sometimes life closes a door because it's guiding you toward a better one. Here's the thing. Setbacks often reveal what success hides. When things are going smoothly, it's easy to overlook weaknesses, ignore warning signs, or stick to routines that aren't truly serving you. But when something falls apart, you're forced to reevaluate. You see areas that need growth. You identify skills you need to develop. You discover strengths you didn't know you had. In this way, setbacks can be some of life's greatest teachers, if you're willing to learn. But learning from a setback isn't always immediate. Sometimes you need to sit in the disappointment for a moment, feel the frustration, and process the emotions. That's normal. Growth doesn't happen by pretending everything is fine when it's not. It happens when you acknowledge the struggle and then choose to move forward anyway. One of the most empowering questions you can ask after a setback is, what is this trying to teach me? Instead of dwelling on the failure itself, shift your focus to the lesson within it. Did it reveal a skill you need to strengthen? Did it highlight a relationship that wasn't healthy? Did it redirect you to a path more aligned with your purpose? There's always something to learn. Sometimes it's obvious, and other times it takes a little digging. Another key to turning setbacks into setups is to reframe how you view timing. One of the hardest things to accept is when things don't happen according to your timeline. You wanted the promotion this year. You planned to be married by now. You thought your business would have taken off by now. But here's a truth that often only becomes clear in hindsight. Delay is not denial. Sometimes a setback is simply life's way of saying, not yet. Something better is coming, but you're not ready for it, or it's not ready for you. During those seasons of delay, it's tempting to think you're stuck or that nothing is happening. But often, those are the seasons where the deepest growth happens. Think of a seed underground. Before it breaks through the soil, it's grown roots that are essential for it to survive above ground. The same is true for you. Sometimes the setback season is actually the season where your roots are growing deeper, strengthening your resilience, building your character, and preparing you for the weight of the blessing that's coming. Turning setbacks into setups also requires adaptability. Sometimes the plan you started with isn't the one that will take you to your destination. Setbacks can be life's way of rerouting you to something better than you imagined. But if you're too focused on the original plan, you might miss the opportunity in the pivot. Athletes understand this well. In sports, you can have the best game plan in the world, but if your opponent throws something unexpected at you, you have to adjust on the fly. Life works the same way. Flexibility is a superpower. It allows you to shift strategies without losing sight of your ultimate goal. One of the most challenging but crucial parts of overcoming setbacks is learning to separate your worth from your results. A failed project, a broken relationship, or a missed opportunity doesn't define your value. It simply reflects a moment in time, not who you are. Too often, people tie their identity to their successes or failures, but you are more than your wins and way more than your losses. Understanding this gives you the emotional freedom to bounce back quicker and with more strength. Community is another essential part of bouncing back. Setbacks can be isolating, making you feel like you're the only one going through it. But when you open up and connect with others, you often find that people have walked similar paths and come out stronger on the other side. Surrounding yourself with people who uplift you, offer fresh perspectives, and remind you of your potential can make all the difference. And here's the most important takeaway. Sometimes the very setback that feels like the end of your story is actually the plot twist that makes it unforgettable. Think of every great movie or novel you've ever loved. The hero faces a moment of crushing defeat when all seems lost, but that moment becomes the turning point that leads to victory. Your life is no different. Setbacks aren't there to signal game over. They're the moments that set the stage for the comeback. So, the next time life knocks you down, pause, take a deep breath, and instead of asking, why is this happening to me, ask, how could this be happening for me? Because when you shift your perspective, setbacks stop being roadblocks and start becoming launch pads. Your setback is not the end, it's the setup for your next breakthrough. Embrace it, learn from it, and then rise stronger than ever. Life doesn't always go as planned. There will be moments when the ground shakes beneath your feet, when the unexpected hits hard, and when you find yourself in situations that test the very core of who you are. It's in these moments that one quality will determine whether you break or bounce back: resilience. Resilience is more than just the ability to endure hardship. It's the power to come back stronger after the storm. It's what transforms victims into victors, setbacks into comebacks, and challenges into opportunities. It's the inner strength that whispers, "You're not done yet," even when everything around you suggests otherwise. But resilience isn't something you're simply born with. It's not an exclusive trait reserved for a select few. It's a skill, a mindset, and a muscle that grows stronger every time you face adversity and choose to rise again. Let's break this down. Imagine a rubber band. When stretched, it bends and flexes, but it doesn't snap. Instead, it returns to its original shape. Now imagine that same rubber band being stretched again and again. Over time, it becomes more flexible, more durable, and better able to handle the tension. That's resilience in action. Every challenge, every hardship, every setback you face stretches you. But with each one, you gain more strength, more wisdom, and more grit. Now, you might be wondering, why is resilience so important? Because life is unpredictable. You can't control every situation, but you can control how you respond. Resilience is what gives you that power. It keeps you moving forward when fear, failure, and frustration try to hold you back. Think about the people you admire most, those who have overcome major challenges, faced unbelievable odds, or risen from the ashes of defeat. What do they all have in common? Resilience. It's not that they had an easy path or never faced failure. It's that they didn't stop when life got tough. They adapted, persevered, and kept pushing forward. But here's the thing about resilience. It doesn't mean you're emotionless or unaffected by life struggles. Being resilient doesn't mean you don't feel pain, sadness, or frustration. It means you feel those emotions fully, but you don't let them paralyze you. You process them, work through them, and then use them as fuel to move forward. So how do you build resilience? It starts with self-awareness. You need to recognize your emotional trigger, understand how you respond to stress, and identify patterns that either help or hinder your ability to bounce back. Self-awareness allows you to catch negative thought spirals before they take over and replace them with empowering beliefs. Another key element of resilience is perspective. When you're in the middle of a tough situation, it's easy to feel like the world is crashing down. But if you can step back and see the bigger picture, you'll realize that most challenges are temporary. Perspective helps you see setbacks not as dead ends, but as detours. It shifts your focus from why is this happening to me, to what can I learn from this? And that mindset shift is everything. Optimism also plays a huge role. Now, this isn't about toxic positivity, pretending everything's fine when it's not. It's about maintaining a belief that, even in hard times, better days are ahead. Optimism fuels hope, and hope is the foundation of resilience. It gives you the energy to keep going, even when the path is unclear. Let's talk about one of the most powerful tools for building resilience: failure. Yes, failure. It's one of life's greatest teachers. Every time you fail and get back up, you're strengthening your resilience muscle. Failure teaches you humility, patience, and problem solving. It shows you what doesn't work so you can find what does. The key is not to fear failure, but to see it as feedback. It's not a reflection of your worth. It's a roadmap for growth. Adaptability is another pillar of resilience. Life is fluid, plans change, people come and go, markets shift, dreams evolve. If you're rigid in your thinking or stuck on one path, life's inevitable twists and turns will feel like insurmountable obstacles. But if you're adaptable, you can pivot, adjust, and find new ways forward. Think of water. It flows around obstacles, finds new paths, and eventually reaches its destination. That's the power of adaptability. Connection is also vital. Resilient people don't isolate themselves during tough times. They lean into their communities, friends, family, mentors, and support systems, talking through challenges, seeking advice, or simply having someone listen can lighten the emotional load and offer new perspectives. Human connection reminds you that you're not alone, even when life feels overwhelming. Another often overlooked aspect of resilience is self-compassion. It's easy to be hard on yourself when you stumble. That inner critic can be relentless, whispering that you're not good enough or that you've failed too many times to try again. But resilience thrives in kindness, especially the kindness you show yourself. When you treat yourself with compassion, you create space for healing, growth, and renewed strength. Physical well-being also impacts resilience. It's hard to face emotional challenges when you're physically depleted. Regular exercise, quality sleep, balanced nutrition, and mindfulness practices like meditation or deep breathing strengthen both your body and mind, making it easier to handle stress and bounce back from setbacks. Let's talk about one of the most powerful byproducts of resilience: confidence. Every time you overcome a challenge, you prove to yourself that you're capable. This builds an inner reservoir of strength that you can draw on during future trials. It's like climbing a mountain. With every peak you reach, you realize you can handle higher and harder climbs. But perhaps the most beautiful part of resilience is that it creates a ripple effect. When you show up strong in the face of adversity, you inspire others to do the same. Your story of resilience could be the very thing that gives someone else the courage to keep going. And that's powerful. So when life hits hard, and it will, remember this: you are stronger than the struggle. You've made it through hard days before, and you'll do it again. Every challenge is shaping you, refining you, and preparing you for what's next. Resilience isn't about avoiding the storm. It's about learning how to dance in the rain. It's about turning pain into power, fear into fuel, and setbacks into setups for something greater. And the more you flex that resilience muscle, the more unstoppable you become. So stand tall, face the storm, and know that you have everything inside of you to not just survive, but to thrive. Vision is one of the most powerful forces that shape our lives. It's not just about seeing with your eyes. It's about seeing with your heart and mind. It's the ability to look beyond where you are and imagine where you can be. Vision is what fuels purpose, ignites passion, and propels people to defy the odds. Without it, even the most talented individuals can feel lost. But with it, ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things. Every great achievement in history started with a vision. Before the skyscraper touched the clouds, someone envisioned it. Before the groundbreaking invention changed lives, someone dreamed it. Vision is the birthplace of success. It's the spark that lights the fire within, driving you to pursue dreams others might deem impossible. But what exactly is vision? It's more than just goals or wishful thinking. Vision is a deep, compelling picture of the future that pulls you forward. It's what keeps you going when obstacles arise, when motivation fades, and when doubt creeps in. It's the internal compass that keeps you aligned with your true purpose. Here's why vision is so transformative. It gives meaning to the mundane. It turns everyday actions into purposeful steps. Without vision, challenges feel like roadblocks. With vision, they become stepping stones. When you know where you're going, every struggle feels worth it. Every sacrifice has a reason. Every setback becomes part of the story. Consider some of the world's most successful individuals. They didn't stumble into greatness by chance. They had a clear vision that guided them, even when no one else could see it. Steve Jobs had a vision of technology that was intuitive and beautifully designed. Nelson Mandela had a vision of a free and equal South Africa. Martin Luther King Jr. dreamed of a world where people would be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Their vision wasn't just a dream. It was a conviction so strong that it became unstoppable. But here's the truth. Vision isn't reserved for the few. It's available to everyone. You have the power to craft a vision for your life that's bigger than your current circumstances. The problem is too many people let life happen to them instead of creating life through their vision. They get stuck in survival mode, going through the motions, following routines, doing what's expected without ever stopping to ask, what do I really want my life to look like? That's where vision begins, with intentional reflection. It requires you to pause, dream, and imagine a future that excites you. It asks questions like, if nothing was holding me back, what would I pursue? What impact do I want to leave behind? What kind of person do I want to become? But crafting a vision isn't just about the end result, it's about the journey. It's not a static image you fixate on. It's a dynamic, evolving force that grows with you. As you gain new experiences, face challenges, and expand your mindset, your vision deepens and becomes clearer. One of the biggest barriers to developing a powerful vision is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of dreaming too big. Society often conditions us to play it safe, to follow traditional paths, and to avoid risks. But visionaries, those who truly defy the odds, aren't afraid to dream beyond the limits. They understand that fear is natural, but it should never be the driver. Another challenge, short-term thinking. We live in a world that celebrates instant gratification, quick wins, fast results, overnight success. But true vision requires patience. It's about seeing the long game. It's about planting seeds today that might not bloom for years, trusting that the harvest will come. Think of a farmer. When they plant a seed, they don't expect fruit the next day. They water it, nurture it, and trust the process. Even when there's no visible progress, vision works the same way. It requires faith, believing in what you can't yet see. But vision isn't just about what you want for yourself. It's also about what you want to give to the world. Some of the most impactful visions are rooted in service. When your vision is bigger than just personal success, when it's about helping others, creating positive change, or leaving a legacy, it gains unstoppable momentum. People rally around it. Doors open, opportunities align. Why? Because the world is drawn to purpose-driven visionaries. Here's another truth about vision. It thrives on clarity. A vague vision like I want to be successful isn't enough. What does success look like to you? Is it financial freedom, creative expression, leading a movement? The clearer your vision, the easier it is to align your actions with it. Clarity turns dreams into plans. But even the clearest vision can falter without belief. You have to believe it's possible even when others don't. Every visionary has faced doubters. There will be people who can't see what you see, who question your path, or who tell you to be realistic. But visionaries aren't concerned with being realistic. They're focused on being revolutionary. Now, let's talk about the role of resilience in vision. Because here's the reality. Pursuing a big vision isn't easy. There will be setbacks, failures, and moments of doubt. That's inevitable. But what keeps visionaries moving forward is their commitment to the bigger picture. When the why is strong enough, the how finds a way. Resilience is what allows you to keep pushing when motivation fades. Vision also requires adaptability. Sometimes the path to your vision won't look the way you thought it would. Plans shift, doors close, unexpected opportunities arise. That's okay. Stay anchored to the destination, but flexible with the route. Some of the most beautiful outcomes in life happen through unexpected detours. One of the most transformative parts of having a strong vision is the way it shapes your identity. When you're clear on where you're going, you start making decisions from the mindset of the person you're becoming, not the person you are now. You begin to embody the habits, attitudes, and values of your future self. And over time, you become that person. But here's perhaps the most profound truth about vision. It creates legacy. Long after the goal is achieved or the dream is realized, the ripple effect of your vision lives on. Think of the great inventors, leaders, and change makers throughout history. Their vision didn't end with them. It continued to impact generations. So what's your vision? What's the picture of the future that lights a fire within you? It doesn't have to be world-changing to be life-changing. It could be a vision of creating a loving family, starting a business that uplifts your community, writing a book, or mentoring others. Whatever it is, lean into it. Let it guide your choices. Let it pull you through the tough seasons. And most importantly, let it expand as you grow. Because here's the truth. Vision isn't about where you are. It's about where you're going. And when you hold on to that vision with relentless belief and unwavering passion, there's no limit to what you can achieve. There's something profoundly powerful about the idea of leaving a legacy. It's not just about the accolades, the material wealth, or the accomplishments that the world can see. It's about the lasting impact you make, the mark you leave behind that echoes long after you're gone. Triumph isn't just measured by personal victories. It's measured by the legacy those victories create. When you think about defying the odds, it's easy to focus on the moment of breakthrough, the applause, the recognition, the success. But Real triumph goes deeper than that. It's about the influence you have on others, the inspiration you spark, and the pathways you open for those who come after you. It's about how your journey of perseverance, courage, and growth becomes a blueprint for others to follow. Legacy is the story people will tell about you when you're not in the room. It's the feeling you leave behind in the hearts of those you've touched. It's the ripple effect of your choices, your values, and your actions. The beauty of legacies is that it's not about perfection. It's about authenticity. Some of the most powerful legacies come from people who struggled, stumbled, and faced overwhelming odds, but kept going anyway. Their stories don't inspire because they were flawless. They inspire because they were relentless. They dared to rise when it would have been easier to quit. Think of the great figures throughout history, those who stood tall in the face of adversity and left behind a world that was better because of their courage. Think of trailblazers, inventors, artists, activists, and everyday heroes. They all had one thing in common. They understood that their lives were bigger than their current circumstances. They lived with purpose, driven by the idea that what they did today could impact tomorrow. But legacy isn't just for the famous or the historically significant. Every single person has the power to leave a legacy. It happens in the small moments as much as in the big ones. It's in the kindness you show when no one's watching. It's in the words of encouragement you give to someone who's struggling. It's in the sacrifices you make for the people you love. These seemingly simple actions create lasting impressions that ripple far beyond the moment. When you defy the odds, your legacy becomes a testament to what's possible. It's a light for someone else who's walking through their own darkness. Your story might be the reason someone else doesn't give up. But here's a truth that's often overlooked. You don't have to wait until you've made it to start building your legacy. It starts right now in how you show up every day. It's in your work ethic, your resilience, your compassion, and your courage. The process of becoming is just as much a part of your legacy as the final triumph. Let's talk about something crucial. Legacy isn't about living for others' approval. It's about living in alignment with your values and making an impact that feels meaningful to you. Too often, people chase the kind of success that looks good on paper but feels empty inside. Real legacy comes from following your purpose, not society's expectations. Now, legacy isn't always glamorous. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it means making hard choices, standing up for what's right when it's unpopular, or pushing through seasons of loneliness and doubt. But here's where the power lies. Legacy is forged in the fire of challenges. It's built when you refuse to back down, when you choose growth over comfort, and when you dare to dream bigger than your current reality. One of the greatest examples of legacy is the impact you have on the next generation, whether it's your children, your community, or people you'll never even meet. The way you live today can shape lives tomorrow. Think about that for a moment. Every act of courage, every choice to keep going, every moment you rise after falling is not just for you, it's for everyone who will come after you. When you defy the odds, you're not just winning your battle, you're clearing a path for others. You're proving that it can be done, that the cycle can be broken, that the limits others placed on you or that you placed on yourself can be shattered. But legacy isn't just about inspiring others. It also transforms you. It gives you a reason to rise above temporary struggles and align your life with something bigger than the moment. It calls you to live with intent, knowing that your actions today echo into tomorrow. Consider the idea of planting trees under whose shade you may never sit. That's legacy. It's about investing in something that outlives you. It's about contributing to a story that's bigger than your own. Now, you might be wondering, how do I create a lasting legacy? It starts with clarity. Ask yourself, what do I want to be remembered for? What values matter most to me? What kind of impact do I want to leave behind? When you get clear on your values and purpose, your actions naturally align with the kind of legacy you want to build. Next, embrace the power of consistency. Legacy isn't built overnight. It's the result of small intentional choices made day after day. It's about showing up with integrity, following through on your commitments, and staying true to your purpose even when no one's watching. Another key to legacy is mentorship. Think about the people who've shaped your life. The coaches, teachers, leaders, or friends who believed in you, guided you, or opened doors. Legacy thrives when you pass on what you've learned, when you lift others as you climb. Whether it's through formal mentorship or simply being someone who listens and encourages, your influence can change lives. But perhaps the most beautiful part of legacy is its ability to evolve. Your legacy isn't set in stone, it's fluid, growing with every chapter of your life. The mistakes you've made, they can become lessons for others. The pain you've endured, it can become empathy and compassion that touches someone else's heart. Every experience you've had can be transformed into something meaningful. And here's the ultimate truth. You're already creating your legacy right now. Whether you realize it or not, your choices, your mindset, your reactions, they're shaping the story you'll leave behind. The question is, will it be a legacy of fear and limitation or one of courage and triumph? You have the power to decide. You have the strength to rewrite your story if it's not where you want it to be. It's never too late to pivot, to grow, to become the person you were always meant to be. Because here's the thing about defying the odds. It's not just about proving people wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about becoming the person who didn't let fear, failure, or as we come to the end of this journey, I want you to take a moment and truly let this truth settle deep within your heart. You were born to defy the odds. Life isn't about living within limits. It's about rising above them. It's about looking at the challenges stacked against you and saying, this is not where my story ends. The odds may be high. The obstacles may be daunting. The voices around you may tell you it's impossible. But within you lies a power greater than every setback, every failure, and every doubt. It's the power of resilience, of faith, of vision, and of purpose. It's the power to rewrite your narrative, no matter where you've come from or what you've been through. You are not defined by your circumstances. You are not limited by your past. You are not bound by what others say you can or cannot do. You carry within you the strength to rise higher, to go further, and to become all that you were created to be. Throughout history, those who made the greatest impact weren't always the most talented, the wealthiest, or the most privileged. They were the ones who refused to quit, the ones who kept believing when others doubted, the ones who stood back up again and again after life tried to knock them down. And you have that same fire, you have that same potential, but here's the key. Defying the odds isn't just about personal victory. It's about creating a legacy. It's about becoming a beacon of hope for others who are still in the fight. It's about showing the world that perseverance wins, that faith moves mountains, and that the impossible is just an opportunity waiting to be conquered. So step into your story with boldness. Embrace the challenges not as roadblocks, but as stepping stones. When fear whispers that you're not enough, shout back with the truth, you are more than enough. And when life tries to tell you the odds are against you, smile and say, that's exactly where I do my best work. Because at the end of the day, it's not the odds that define you. It's your spirit, it's your heart, it's your unwavering belief that you were made for more. So go out there, dream bigger, push harder, stand taller, and remember this, you will defy the odds. Not someday, not maybe, but now and always.